Men of faith. That's who the two witnesses are. They're men of faith. These two men, Moses and Elijah, will prophesy in the end times against all wickedness and lewdness and malicious people who talk ungodly things to God, who are big thinkers, and these people that they'll be prophesying against are evildoers, and there'll be nowhere to hide from much of their performances. So these two men, let's start with Elijah. Elijah was commanded by God to tell a man named Ahab of it not raining it says for these amount of years, but we know that it's 3 years and 6 months, 3 years and a half, by a way of scripture that talks about it in, I believe, the book James in the New Testament. At the end of James's writings, he says, and even Elias, who prayed for it not to rain for 3.5 years, and again prayed, and it rained, and the earth produced forth its fruit. Elijah went through a series of tests, and he listened to God in every which way he would walk. The Lord told him to go to a widow to escape Jezebel's viciousness and Ahab's wickedness, and hide for 3 years and a half for it not to rain. God commanded him to do that, but before he gets to the widow's house, first he's fed by ravens. He goes to the brook named Cherith and sits down. And the Lord said, I will feed you there. With ravens will bring you meat for the day and bread for the morning. We don't know how long he was there, but we know by it, it's saying that when the brook dried up, he had to move on. That's when God commanded him to go to the widow's house. So we know that. Let's skip a whole bunch of middle stuff. Elijah falls asleep by a juniper tree, and he falls asleep, and an angel wakes him up and says, eat, drink, you have a long journey. So the angel left some water and a baked cake. He ate and he drank. He fell back asleep again. A second time the angel woke him up and said, eat, drink, for you have a far journey. And it took Elijah 40 days to reach Mount Horeb, which is God's mountain. And he's in a cave, and he's on the same mountain that Moses threw the 10 tablets down on the Israelites. The 10 tablets, the 10 commandments. We'll get to Moses next. Twice. So Elijah is in the cave, and God talks to him. He says, Elijah, Elias, what doest thou here? And Elijah answers back. He says, I'm the only prophet left. All the other prophets have passed. And blah, blah, blah. He has a conversation. Not blah, blah, blah. This is serious. He has a conversation with God. And as he's looking out the cave, an earthquake happens, and it passes. Then fire passes Elijah, and then a wind passes by the mountain, and then he hears a still small voice, Elias, why art thou here? It seems like from this story that we get the idea that God is a man of few words, but a lot of action. Throughout all the Bible stories spoken of, we find another dominating character, Moses. So Moses, he's born into a surrogate family. Oh, I don't know. He's raised by Egyptians. He grows up. He learns the art of war, map making. He does a lot of studying. He's a smart man. And then we get to him in the wilderness, and he's delirious after seeing God in the burning bush. Moses, the man of God. So we seek to know Moses because he was a grand character that did great things. The Israelites were guided in the desert by a pillar of clouds by day and a pillar of fire by night. God was with the Israelites in a powerful way. Why would God need to lead the Israelites with a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day? Is God showing off? Some people might say. Is God trying to show his greatness? I would say yes on that. God had to be so big in Moses' life to make an impact on the disobedience of Israel. So Christians, grab the fruits of the Spirit quickly and be fast on your feet to follow the Lord, for he is returned. Jesus said, I am with you always, even to the ends of the earth. Jesus also said, I will be with you in heavenly places. So when we start seeing everybody leave under the roofs of their house, we better believe that the Lord is showing himself soon, or it is happening. And it's going to be different times and different schedules, but the Lord will show himself to all. So back to Moses. Moses divided the Red Sea, made 10 plagues happen on Pharaoh, cut down a tree and threw it in a pond of water to make it bittersweet because it was bitter water. The Israelites were thirsty for 3 days. He tapped a rock with his staff and water gushed out for the Israelites. For the disobedience of the Israelites that they were doing, he was in the desert and made snakes pop up, and the only way you could be saved is touching the staff of Moses. So a lot of Israelites were lost at that period of time. Look at Joshua, his predecessor. Joshua was a mighty warrior. He took, be bold and courageous, and put it in Joshua chapter 1, because in Deuteronomy 31:6, Moses said, be strong and courageous. Joshua carried a lamp a light inside his soul that flashed so bright that he could see angels and talk to angels and have communion with angels. He had the responsibility to carry the Ark of the Covenant. He defeated many enemies. He made Jericho fall between the borders and crash upon all the people. Gideon, here's a man, Gideon. He puts a fleece out on the... So, okay, I won't talk about Gideon. I'll save that for another video. But Moses ended up building the tabernacle for God. It is called the tabernacle because it carried the Ark of the Covenant where God would show himself. So like whenever the cloud would be above the Ark of the Covenant, the Israelites were supposed to obey and be still, kind of like being on Sabbath, observing the Sabbath. And then back to Joshua. This is one thing I love about Joshua. He said, let the sun be still over Gibeon. Oh, no. And the moon stand still over the valley of Ajalon. That was when the first time that God listened to man. That's what we hear. Pop quiz. What all did I just talk about? In your view, what was this video made for? And share, like, comment below, subscribe to my channel. Peace, everyone. Goodbye.